Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Friday, June 21st, 2019. Hope everybody had a decent work week. We have finally made it to Friday. Sorry about that, folks. I was kind of going over some stuff before we started the program tonight. Here we are at the grandsolarminimum.com, where you can find all of the links to tonight's articles on our broadcast tonight. We'll get started with some space weather news like we always do. Taking a look at our solar wind speed sitting around 391.8 kilometers with a density of 8.3. Checking out spaceweather.com. The sun is blank once again, 33 days in a row without sunspots. And we'll go to our space weather section here at the grandsolarminimum.com. Bear with me, folks. I do apologize. So, it's been quiet so far from the sun. No coronal holes really to speak of. We have a minor one in the southern region of our star, but nothing to really talk about. KP indices haven't driven past 3 in the past 3 days, hovering around the 1 and 2 range. And let's take a look and see if we have anything upcoming here with our SDO in motion. And like I said, we have a small coronal hole in the southern region of our star that could graze our southern part of our magnetic field, but nothing major is expected. And if we look at some activity around the negative 180 region of our star, really just some brightness, active regions, nothing to go as far as predicting any kind of sunspot activity, as we don't see anything on the eastern limb. The previous prediction of a possibility of 35 days appears at this point that it might get shattered. So we are still without a sunspot for now 33 days in a row. We will continue to monitor this as we watch this unfold. And really, a lot of this has to do with previous records that we've kept during solar minimums and how deep we are actually going at this time. It's amazing to me with all the work that we've done with watching stuff that we've talked about with Dr. Zarkova and John Casey and David Dilley, listening to what he was talking about with lunar cycles. And then this week, really, the last 10 days have been mind-blowing as far as basically disclosure on what's happening out there as far with these solar cycles, with these theories of, is it man-made, is it CO2, all of this is coming together now. And honestly, it's making my head spin. When I look at this, when I look at space weather and I look at some of the papers and the predictions that we've seen here recently, the NASA mission with their articles talking about solar cycle 25 was going to be weaker than originally thought in the first place. And I have a couple of graphs that I want to show real quick before we get started with the world news. I know this is kind of out of sync here, but we're talking about sunspots and NASA's release of information, talking about our next solar cycle 25 to be the weakest in around 200 years. So this work here is done by TSM Solar Observations, Mr. David Birch, Starman. Here was the 2014 solar cycle 24 peak. This is the number that we're looking at from his calculations for 2025's maximum, which NASA said 50 or 15 to 30% over or under that number. So no pun intended, this forecast right here for solar cycle 25 and 26 could be spot on, if you know what I mean. So I just wanted to show everybody that. I'll go back to this here in a little bit. Let's go back to the top, though. Sorry about that, folks. Violent hailstorm in turn earlier today, June 21st, 2019. Check out this hail. Just a river of it. And this is not the only footage we have from today for massive amounts of hail. You know, we've talked about the increase of hail during these solar minimums, but I don't think in my life, thinking back to all the way back to my teenage years, to my childhood, you know, even though we didn't have the social medias back then, I don't remember seeing videos like this. So this is something we've talked about many times on the channel. Increased hail, flooding, cosmic rays. Obviously, this is the proof that they are interacting with our other particulates in the atmosphere and seeding clouds as well. The amount of hail, the amount of cold air that's in the atmosphere right now. That's another reason why we've seen so many tornadoes in the United States this year. A huge increase. More hail. This is footage from northern Italy. Mari had dug this up right before the show. Check this out, guys. This is around ankle deep. This is hail, not snow. And these cars are basically up to their mid tires in hail. And I'm sure that laugh was out of disbelief. I mean, these people are wearing shorts. This is not freezing cold outside. Obviously, this is from a thunderstorm, but look at how much actually fell. I mean, this is a good 6 inches of hail. Easily. And speaking of the white stuff, guys, severe storm hits British Columbia and Alberta with heavy rain, hail, and snow. This happened on June 18th and June 19th. We reported on this on Wednesday night, how they were beginning to get it. A surprise snowfall hit the Okang connector on the Drive B Chaiway earlier. Oh, that's highway, not Chaiway. Again, Teo, thank you. Good Lord. Anyway, I'm like Ron Burgundy, guys. You put it on the teleprompter and I'll read it. So watch out. But more footage of this snowstorm. Guys, this is the first, well, this is close to the first day of summer. And we have another summer snow to talk about, by the way. The first day of summer, we did have snowfall, June 21st, in the lower 48. Jasper National Park region, Alberta, is under snowfall and rainfall warning on June 20th. Rainfall warning in effect for the city of Edmonton, St. Albert, Sherwood Park, Drayton Valley, Devon, Rembley, Pigeon Lake, Hinton, Grand Cache, Nordreg, Forestry Trunk Road Highway 734, Rocky Mountain House, Caroline Spruce Grove, Mournville, Mayerthorpe, Evansburg, and Whitecourt, Edson, Fox Creek, Swan Hills. Those are the rain and snowfall warnings that were in effect, along with a long episode of rain at times. Continues heavy. Environment Canada said the rainfall warning was issued on the 20th. They were expecting totals around 3 inches in some spots. Others were looking snowfall of almost 4 inches of snow in certain regions. Snow has weakened off for today, but light snow is still expected overnight before intensifying Thursday, where a further 3.93 inches of snow is expected. So this was yesterday. But I still want to talk about it. We briefly talked about it on Wednesday, and it wasn't just a dusting or a coating. This was 4 inches of white stuff. And this is going to take too long to load. Guys can check all this footage out at our website, grandsolarminimum.com. Oh, guys, stick with me. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, folks. I had a little technical difficulties. So after the BC snow, let's go ahead and head it back over to the rain. More severe storms hit the eastern United States on June 20th, 2019, bringing strong winds and heavy rain. Some areas received more than 1 month's average of rain in June just in 48 hours. Storms also affected other parts of the country since June 19th, causing floods and landslides. Severe thunderstorms brought winds in excess of 50 miles per hour and heavy rain over already saturated ground, downing trees and power poles and leaving over 215,000 customers without power as of late Thursday night. The worst affected states were North and South Carolina, where 145,000 people lost power. As of 9 UTC on June 21st, only 14,613 were without power in South Carolina and just over 11,000 in North Carolina. Meanwhile, 10,000 in Virginia and 35,000 people in Arkansas were without power as well. So interesting to include little old Arkansas over here in this East Coast storm. But South Carolina registered gusts of around 79 miles per hour, and in Duck, North Carolina, they were 78 miles per hour. Philadelphia, PA registered around 4.8 inches of rain in just 2 days. June 20th bringing its monthly total to 7.71 inches. Its usual average is about 3.43 inches, so we are definitely doubling that effort for the month of June. Again, it's only the 21st. We have about 9 to 10 days left to go, so still chance to add on to this total, as when we look at the GFS, I will show you guys there are expected more showers to the East Coast throughout the next 2 weeks. State of emergency was declared in Burlington County, New Jersey, after floods forced evacuations. Numerous homes in Southampton, Pemberton Township, Pemberton Borough, Lumberton, Medford, Mount Laurel, Burlington City, and Mount Holly. High water rescues also took place in Westerville, New Jersey, and Vincetown, PA, where rescuers had to use boats to evacuate residents. In southwestern Ohio, heavy rain caused landslide on Cincinnati area Parkway. Another landslide closed State Route 7 in eastern Ohio's Jefferson County. Roads were also closed Wednesday night in Columbus. Parts of Interstate 71 near Grove City were also closed Wednesday night. And we talked about that when we were broadcasting on Wednesday on our show, where several folks had actually reported to us from that area water standing in fields all over I-71, and some little townships and villages off of that highway were also flooding water in their streets and sidewalks. All right, so we'll leave the information here on the grandsolarminimum.com. Again, more areas of the United States being flooded out. Let's take a look at this real quick. Last week the last couple of weeks we've been dealing with the Ohio area, dealing with floods right in here. And weeks previous before that, it was back in this area here. And then we went further back into Oklahoma and Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska. They're still getting it. And it looks like each part of the United States continues to get their chance at heavy rains. Almost a month's worth of rain in just 2 days. And really, it's been like this from the central plains of the United States, and it's moved all the way across to the East Coast now. And when we get into the GFS in a little while, we will show you that the atmosphere just continues to reload one round after another. Another strong and shallow earthquake, 6.2, hits the Kermadec Islands region in New Zealand. The one thing I wanted to point out about this article, we've been talking about this region now for earthquakes for several days, 7 to 10 days now. And interesting comment that I read the other day from this actual earthquake region, and it was one of our videos. And forgive me, I don't remember which one exactly it was, but he left a comment, interesting conversation about how these earthquakes are continuing to move down this fault and moving towards New Zealand. And, maybe he's shooting from the hip or the gut, or maybe he pays attention and has a good idea where this next quake might strike. But this gentleman commented in the comment section he wouldn't be surprised to hear about a 4.4 in the middle of New Zealand tomorrow sometime. So just an opinion, just observation. So we will keep our eyes on this particular swarm as it has been active. Nothing crazy, no tsunami warnings or anything like that. But just something to watch as we have zero solar activity right now. KP indices are low. Quake seismicity is definitely in favorable conditions right now, along with volcanic explosions as well. Moving on to our next article here. If we ever get this, there we go. All right, flood claims over 88 lives. 17 are still missing. Severe floods and landslides. Once again, southwest China since last week. There's about 7 provinces that have really been affected the worst. 88 people have been killed from up from 61. So this is a continuing death toll, unfortunately, from this story that we have been covering now for what it seems to be at least 2 weeks. But the death toll continues to climb. When we first reported on this, we probably mentioned, 9,300 homes. Now they're saying at least 17,000 have been destroyed. 82,000 affected. 30 were dead. And then a few days later, we updated the story and it was 60 dead. And now we are at a total of 88 with 17 still missing. So this is a update from an event that happened quite a while, still dealing with the search and rescue effort right now. And again, they're still experiencing heavy rain, and it's predicted to continue out there. Anywhere from 4 to 7 inches is expected to fall over the next few days out in this region. So already dealing with floods, people dying. The death toll continues to climb, and more rains and floodwaters also will continue to climb as we will keep an eye on this region once again. But very sad that we continue to update this story, and it is not good news. Folks, hang tight. We'll be right back.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.
All right, folks, we're back. A warmer Alaska is normal during deep minimums. And Climate Depot, Mark Morano's website, puts up a little bit of information that I'm glad that he brought up. Because we always see this being used as an example of... That doesn't even look like the same article.
What are you going to?
Long winters coming in reality. Is this what he's talking about? The
Go back to our site real quick and I'll show you. See, this, the point of this is someone shared this on our Facebook group today, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, Alaska is warming up. And what this article that Jake is going to show you is going to go into detail that this is normal for this type of natural cycle going into a deep minimum.
So June 20th, 2019, the record was 73 degrees Fahrenheit, was set back in 1996. Previous daily record was set June 20th in 2013 at 62 degrees. Average high this time of the year, 43 degrees. So, as I was saying, over the years, I've seen people talk about how it's warming in Alaska, so this article brings up how this is normal during solar minimums and deep solar minimums as well. The warming in Alaska and the Northwest. This is not anything that's new. This is right on cue, if anything, when we're talking about grand solar minimums and deep solar minimums. The cool down would result of what scientists call a grand minimum, a periodic event which the sun's magnetism diminishes. Sunspots form infrequently unless ultraviolet radiation makes its way to the surface. Scientists believe that the event is triggered with irregular intervals by random fluctuations related to the sun's magnetic field. And again, I'm seeing more and more work here being talked about with magnetic fields. It's almost as if the community has very much so embraced the work of Dr. Valentina Zarkova. NASA has embraced that work by just releasing their thoughts on solar cycle 25. Their predictions were related to the sun's magnetic field. So, weaker sun magnetic field will produce less sunspots, and vice versa with a stronger magnetic field that will produce more sunspots. So, what we thought was about sunspots and lower temps, that's true, but the real cause behind that is weaker magnetic fields equals fewer sunspots to be forming during these periods. So again, we'll leave the link here at thegrandsolarminimum.com for you guys to check out. But again, let's not freak out. These are records that are verifiable, that you can go back into previous deep minimums. Alaska warms up during these grand solar minimums. Again, here is another look at our friend Starman's chart of his predictions. 2020-25, a maximum sunspot number 86. NASA came out with 50, with about 15 to 30% above or below. And if you ask me, if you shoot high and it comes in just under that, it's a safe bet, and I think it's more practical as well. We were told previously that the solar cycle 25 was going to be somewhere around the 132 to 140 range mark for its max. So for NASA to come out almost 90 sunspots less than what some predicted, and a few of those people that made those predictions are respected astrophysicists as well. But I think, to me, right now, with the last 10 days of disclosure of what's going on with our sun, our solar cycles, where we are right now, there's a lot more clarification, in my opinion, about grand solar minimum, where we are in the solar cycle, and what's going to happen moving forward. This stuff is starting to scare a lot of folks, and rightfully so. I had a Twitter account where I share some of comments from some of our subscribers from time to time. I'll share a few links. I'll support a lot of my friends that are on Twitter. Carlos Ramirez, Starman. I follow several people. Those two just come to mind. I do a lot of work with those two, or at least confer with those two. But when we're looking on Twitter and the amount of information that's being shared right now, in my opinion, without censorship, I got to be honest right now, as far as a social media platform, Twitter has been nothing but good to most of us out there in that community. So I highly recommend all of you to try to at least check out Twitter and follow some of these individuals out there. Again, Jake GSM is my account, the Grand Solar Men, at Grand Solar Men for our Grand Solar Minimum channel, Twitter account as well. And just another way to get the information out without being censored. Right now, Mario, would you agree with me that we haven't really been hassled too much with Twitter Twitter accounts?
Yeah, Twitter's been pretty mellow.
So I guess I'm trying to promote the Twitter account just because it seems like that's where we can get a lot of this information out. And a lot of people, I feel like, I think Facebook to me anymore, it's a great platform as well. But I think some of this information gets overlooked on Facebook, in my opinion. And there's people who control what you see and when you see it. And I don't think we have that same problem on Twitter. So if you see us posting a lot more on Twitter, that's why. All right, climate emergency. Ireland set to ban private cars. I got to read most of this article, guys. This is nuts. So drivers will be forced off the roads in Ireland and the population packed into higher density cities under long-awaited climate plan, which will revolutionize people's lifestyle and behaviors, according to the local media. Nudge policies such as huge tax hikes, as well as bans and red tape outlined in the plan, will pave the way to a vibrant Ireland of zero carbon emissions by 2050, according to the government, which last year committed to boost the country's 4.7 million strong population by a further million with mass migration. In order to avert climate apocalypse, the government plans to force people out of private cars because they are the biggest offenders for emissions. According to Transport Minister Shane Ross, whose proposals, which includes banning fossil fuels vehicles from towns and cities nationwide, are posed to cripple ordinary motorists, local media reports. And this also takes away a major part of their economy, the auto industry, people who service these automobiles, people who fix them, who repair them, body work, whatever, you name it, manufacturing, everything. You talk about a job killer. Launching the plan in Dublin, a leader named Leo Varadkar outlined his vision for an Ireland of higher density cities consisting of populations whose lifestyles and behaviors have been totally transformed by carrot and stick policies outlined in the climate plan. Our approach will be to nudge people and businesses to change behavior to adapt new technologies through incentives, disincentives, regulations, and information, said the globalist Prime Minister. We are going to change how electricity is produced and consumed, how our homes and workplaces are heated, the way we travel, the types of vehicles we purchase, and how food is produced. Guys, I'm going to tell you something right here. In addition, plans demand that coal and peat-fired stations are replaced with wind farms and other green energy sources in order to meet the requirements that 70% of electricity will be generated from renewables by 2030. And this is kind of my point. They want to take away a source of energy that's going to keep you warm. Nice and cozy now during this period. So right here, this is 2030. These folks in Ireland want to do away with fossil fuels and coal, and they want you to heat your homes on just solar and wind. I don't understand some of these policies. I don't think these countries are being reasonable. I don't think they're thinking anything out. If they're pushing to get rid of the things that keep us warm during the coldest times, how fast are we going to see the population be killed off over there? If they actually stop. My guess is that they abandoned ship on this plan by 2022. If then. So we'll just have to keep our eye on that, but absolutely ridiculous. Banning the travel of a private car by 2030. Sunspotless for 33 days straight. Airline travelers getting dosed up to 70 times more radiation. And I read this article. What's up with that? On one of our favorite websites to pull news information from. And they do a really good job at connecting the dots with political and environmental science, the ENSO cycles, the solar cycles, CO2, the advantages of coal and the disadvantages of solar and wind. I mean, really, this website is fantastic when it comes to climate, weather, news, science, policies, anything, you name it. This has always been a resourceful page. But this is really the first time I've ever seen them actually use the words grand solar minimum. They've acknowledged the solar minimum parts, but I really believe the tone of this article, and really ever since what NASA has released, we're starting to see a consensus amongst the community on what's actually happening right now. Are we in a grand solar minimum? Yes, we are at the very beginning of it. We are descending into the deeper part of the minimum as we speak. Things are on the decline, no doubt. And the article from June 12th on NASA that confirms the weakest cycle in over 200 years. Hello, connect the dots, do your math. 200 years ago was the Dalton minimum. 200 prior to that was the Maunder minimum. You see where I'm going with this? So we're finding out more articles now from trusted sources, like What's Up With That, that is now talking about the very, very high possibility and consideration of the fact that we are actually in the grand solar minimum. Here at the bottom it says, in addition, there are now forecasts that the next solar cycle 25 will be the weakest in more than 200 years. The current solar cycle 24 was the weakest and the fewest sunspots since cycle 14 peaked in 1906. So again, this story about the weakest solar cycle in 200 years is gaining a lot of traction, in my opinion. And just in 9 days, we have seen countless of people coming out now giving us the business about this is a grand solar minimum. Yes, all signs point to this being the beginning of a grand solar minimum. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.
So here's a story that I wanted to cover a couple nights ago and just skipped it. I don't know why or how, but I did. Thankfully, Mari brought it back up to my attention. But how rare is giant hail in Europe? 2019 storm season has brought unusually strong thunderstorms, out-of-season windstorms, and very large, violent, destructive hailstorms to much of Europe. Very rare giant hail was reported on several occasions, inflicting heavy damage. On June 11th, multiple severe storms occurred over parts of Central Europe, with several prolific hail producers, and 2 of them even produced hailstones reaching the diameters of about 4 inches or more. Such large hail was reported all over western Poland, with some of the largest measuring around 4.7 inches, according to a report published by the European Severe Storm Laboratory. Or laboratory. You say dynamo, I say dynamo. This makes it the biggest officially measured hailstone in this country, according to our partner at Skywarn Poleska. Giant hail also occurred in southern Slovenia, northern Croatia, with a maximum reported hail diameter of 4.3 inches. The hailstorm actually tracked very close to the path of another giant hailstorm producer that struck last year in Slovenia with a 4.7 inch diameter hailstone. Again, these used to be pictures that we would see every once in a while. And we have multiple reports of large hail like this on a daily basis here in the United States, here in Europe. What does hail that size do to the crops? Take a look. This is damaged from the hail. It looks like someone took a bite out of this apple. But that is just the force of the hail. First of all, these apples are forced to the ground and then pelted by these giant hailstones. Take a look at some more crop damage real quick. Look at that. Guys, that's total loss right there. There's no, sprinkling it and pulling the bad stuff out and hoping it comes back up. That's total loss. I have to stop for a minute on this picture. And we have to really realize that this is not just a regional problem right now. The United States, parts of its agricultural world is underwater. Some of it's receding now, which is good news. But now we're dealing with contaminated soil in parts where the water is receding. And then we cover European weather as well. And then we see this stuff. The apples destroyed. These fields, they're not coming back. Crops are destroyed, and this is the worst time of the year for that to be happening. More hail problems. Looks like snowfall, but that's hail. Good 3 to 4 inches of hail there on the ground. Excellent report here, but to see all of the hail reported, the medium to moderate to major hail reports across Europe, all over, just in the past 2 weeks alone, is completely off the charts, if you ask me. So, great reporting again from watchers.news. And let's take a look at some of the U.S. weather before we get into our GFS outlook. First day of summer, basically snowfall. Montana. Colorado was in a winter weather advisory with 4 inches of snow expected from that particular storm. So more rounds of severe weather, flash flooding to plague the plains Midwest through the weekend. According to weather.com, damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes are all possible. Many areas from the plains, Mississippi, Ohio valleys could pick up 1 to 3 inches of rain. This will likely trigger localized flooding. I gave a shout out to my brother earlier this week. I told him around the 27th, you will start to see some dry weather. But until then, we are going to still see more of the same. Rain, dry, rain, dry, rain, dry, before we hit a few days of dry weather in that region. Clusters of thunderstorms continue to ride around the ridge of the high pressure from Colorado eastward to Missouri and southeastward to southeast coast. Some of these storms will continue well into the overnight hours, damaging thunderstorms, winds, and perhaps a few embedded tornadoes are possible with these clusters. A double line of thunderstorms brought strong winds and speeds up to 75 miles per hour to parts of Illinois and Missouri late Friday afternoon into early this evening. Trees were down in portions of both states. A semi was overturned in western Kentucky near Paducah early Friday evening. Squall lines late Thursday night and Friday produced high winds and wind damage across southern Nebraska and northern Kansas and Missouri. A wind gust at 95 miles an hour was measured near Oxford, Nebraska around midnight. Winds gusting to 89 miles per hour downed numerous trees in Norton, Kansas, and large trees blocked roads in Edison, Nebraska. So Norton, Kansas, yeah. I just want to stop for a minute. If you've ever lived in Kansas, especially in the northwest corner of Kansas, it's windy every day. You walk outside and literally, I hated it. The wind literally got on my nerves. You walk outside and you're hitting the face with 15, 20 mile an hour winds, and it doesn't stop all day. So for trees to fall down in Kansas, that's a big deal because those trees are susceptible to that kind of condition. There's not a lot of trees. It's a lot of farmland, a lot of flat land, a lot of field out there. So to me, when I read in weather.com that an 89 mile an hour wind down numerous trees in Norton, a small little town here in northwest Kansas, that's pretty impressive. There's not a lot of trees to begin with in this region. I'm not exaggerating this whatsoever. It's a small little town, and then you drive a few minutes north, there's a state prison, and then further north from that is nothing but little tiny towns with about 600 people in them. So this is a very widespread rural area of Kansas. So this is an impressive storm system. Like I said, high winds are a normal thing out there, but 89 mile an hour winds, that's some serious damage, and just kind of shocking for me to read, actually. Power lines were down in Mobile Home Park in Monroe City in northeast Missouri late Friday. Severe forecast, severe storms, locally heavy rain will be a threat on multiple days, including in areas where the ground is already saturated from heavy recent rain. Another round of severe storms is likely to fire up in parts of southern and central plains on Saturday afternoon and night, particularly from North Texas into Oklahoma into southern Kansas. That's where the highest chances of severe weather. Places like Omaha, Iowa, Missouri, St. Louis, Illinois, southwestern Indiana, Nashville, Kentucky, Atlanta. You have a possibility of severe weather, but at least a thunderstorm, at least. Sunday's severe threat may just be a tad south and east of that. Damaging winds and gusts, large hail are the main threat with most of these storms, but a couple tornadoes can be ruled out if supercells are able to form. Here's the rainfall forecast through Monday. Hang in there, Southwest Ohio. A break is coming, but you're still slated to expect at least another 1 to 2 inches through Monday. So Saturday and Sunday, we will expect 1 to 2 inches in that region once again. A little bit heavier rain in central Kentucky, 2 to 3 to 3 to 5 inches in localized areas. Parts of Oklahoma City, you don't need any more rain, but you're expected anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. Parts of southeastern Oklahoma also expected to get more flooded rains of 3 to 5 inches. So just areas like Kansas City, Des Moines, Iowa, Minneapolis, Chicago, St. Louis, more moderate rainfall, more flooding on the way, as if you guys need any more of it at this time. Current look at our satellite tonight. A big portion of storms heading across the United States, diving through southwestern Illinois and Indiana. Let's go ahead and take a look at our friends here at Tropical Tidbits. As we start off tonight, storms and showers rumbling through Indiana and Illinois. They will intensify overnight into early morning Saturday. The Dakotas also experiencing some rain showers. This rainfall will not be that intense, but what we have developing on Sunday in Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, and parts of Arkansas might be a bit different. And also, guys, we are looking at a chance of snow showers in parts of Colorado on June 23rd. That's Sunday, folks. Heavy rain across southern Indiana into Kentucky once again. The Ohio Valley is threatened by more showers and storms on Monday. And the weak system moves through the Midwest into the South by Tuesday. And then expect a little bit more of a drying pattern after the 27th. Here's some light showers moving through the southwest Ohio area. And then right here on Thursday, June 27th, we start to dry out here in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New York, Virginia, West Virginia, parts of Kentucky. And then by the 29th, again, Ohio and Indiana, you guys are still dry. And then finally by the 30th, we get light showers across the Ohio Valley before a little bit more clearing and just light to moderate rain showers, but nothing really serious as we go into July. Now, Ohio almost has a high pressure force field, as you guys will remain dry from the 27th of June all the way through what appears to be right now. Check this out, guys. Very nasty little storm coming there across Nebraska on the 2nd of July. We will watch that one. But look at this. July 2nd, still no rain for the Ohio Valley. July 4th, your 4th of July evening should be clear. No rain. But it just seems like the rain is edging around Ohio. Look at this. July 5th. It's going to rain in the northeast and the southern parts of Ohio. But Ohio River and south, rain, dry above. So there is definitely some kind of barrier here that the state of Ohio basically won't see another raindrop at this point. If this forecast holds true, which Wednesday night I noticed that we were going to have a few dry days, but this is indicating from June 27th through July 7th, the state of Ohio should not get another drop of rain, which right now there's still tons of damage from the Memorial Day weekend tornado, and they have been getting tons of rain as well. They're flooding out. They need the dry time to clean up for sure. So let's talk about the rest of the United States. The South and Texas and Oklahoma, you guys still dealing with bouts of heavy rain. June 24th, another system develops behind that on the 27th. But really, guys, for the South, except for a couple spots in the northern plains, we're just looking at some moderate rain showers. Normal rainfall for summer, maybe a little bit heavy at times, but nothing too amazing, nothing too crazy. The unfortunate part is that the amount of rain that we already have received so far in the month of June is that this little bit of rain can still cause big problems. Big problems with the crops, still. Let's actually watch a region together. Let me get the old handy dandy. This is what we need. This area right here needs to stay dry for sure. All right. And that's the last time we see any kind of rain chances. Indiana, Illinois, you're still going to have problems. Then we get some dry weather. But it doesn't last too long for Indiana and Illinois. Mainly for Ohio. Still enough dry days in Indiana, Illinois where we should be able to see some significant improvement. But again, if we have cloud coverage, which I believe we will, even though we're not getting any moisture in this little pocket, I'm positive we'll still see cloud coverage in that region. So, a friend of mine from Nebraska, Matt, talks to me about crops and how we need certain amount of heat for those crops to get going. And let's watch Nebraska over the next several days. Again, spotty chances for moisture across Kansas and Nebraska. Couple decent-sized low-pressure systems move over. But again, temperature-wise, where are we going to be at? Let's find out. We need that heat. We need that dry. We need that heat right now. I can only hope that this region will start to see some of that heat. And right now, it's looking good in the near future. We're getting well into the 80s. Parts of the Central Plains are flirting with the 90s, it looks like, in certain parts. So this region here, across the Farm Belt here, definitely getting the necessary heat. But what about Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana? Look at this. Struggling to get into the 80s, guys. And a lot of that, same with Ohio, a lot of that is because the correlation we've drawn before, where there's lots of moisture, there will be a cooling effect. And if you guys watch here, we'll start to get a little hotter here as we get into June and July. And we really start to see that heat kick up in the first week of July. So far, so good for Nebraska and Kansas and Oklahoma. Can we stay dry is the question in those areas. But in the Ohio Valley, it almost appears that we are struggling to stay in the 80s and 70s here. That area of cooler air almost looks like it wins the battle against this heat that's in the south. South and southwest and Florida, you guys are hot. There's no getting out of that. And I don't think that's going to change this summer. I think you guys are going to experience a pretty hot summer down there. 80s and 90s. Nothing record-breaking, but just not long, but a quick burst of some really extreme heat before it moderates out to average temperatures for the remainder of the summer. I don't predict an Indian summer this year. I could be wrong, but just the way things are looking. And on top of that, we have conditions El Nino. As you see, the 3-4 region is warming up a little bit, but technically we are kind of falling out of El Nino conditions. And as we speak, we are right at the threshold for El Nino. This little, show you real quick. This little needle is the best way to find out where we are. This is moderate, very weak El Nino, strong El Nino, neutral is right directly in the middle, and then we start talking about La Nina. Right now, we're almost at neutral. Good news and bad news. I don't know if there's really good news if El Nino ends right now through the rest of the summer. That could change the hurricane forecast a little bit. If El Nino strengthens and continues to moderate through the rest of the summer, that I think will be the determining factor of keeping major hurricanes from landfall to a minimal this year. So we're going to continue to watch the El Nino event and other weather from around the world as well. Mari, that's pretty much what I got for tonight. Did you want to come up here and say hello and give out the usual shout outs that we do?
Hello, my GSM family. How's everyone doing in the chat? As always, it's been a pleasure. Let's see what we got here for comments. We got Our Star Project says, hello from Arizona. It's 95 degrees there tomorrow. It's actually going to be 8 degrees below normal and 14 degrees below last year on this date. So she says, she or he, I don't know, Our Star Project could go either way, is enjoying a beautiful solstice sunset. Nice. I love Arizona. What a beautiful state that is.
Yeah.
Ian says that, here's his direct quote, just for you, Jake, because you're on camera with your little head and your big microphone. All right, this one's for Ian.
Hello, Ian.
Guys, he says, you guys make the coming apocalypse seem so enjoyable. We are listening to the intro to global mass starvation, and who knew it would be so interesting? We make this awful news pleasurable somehow. I don't know.
I don't see that
it's
possible,
hard.
But hey, Ian might be halfway through a bottle right now, vodka. So
I can't tell you guys how emotional going through this information is. Having farmers reach out to us and tell us their stories. It gets really heavy on the shoulders, like emotionally.
Yeah.
Taking it in. And it's a lot.
And we love you, Ian. We're not calling you out, but honestly, I think what you're trying to translate is that you just enjoy the company of like-minded people who are aware and want to do something about it. It's really difficult. Tonight, the reason why, I'll be honest with you guys, I was tongue-tied at the very beginning of the broadcast. Mari and I have got some privileged information and stuff that we'll be able to talk about here just in the next few days. And the privileged information is from someone you guys all love and trust. And what's scary about it was hard for me to kind of get back together right before we went on the air live. And not because it was so hard to absorb, but what the conclusion of this is. And this is no longer a speculation. This is real.
Well, over the past, let's
hearing
say,
from our farmers, it makes it even worse.
Since April, the disclosure on what exactly is going on is increasing really quick. Because how else are you going to cover it up? It's they spilling the beans. That article came out with NASA. They straight up said the next solar cycle. That's it.
And then you found the scientist. You found her presentation that not only just showed us that it's going to be weaker, but it showed us why.
Yeah.
That was thanks to you. And I said, wow, this is great information. I'm glad NASA has it out. And your answer to me was...
I put that on the website. If not, I'll add another article.
But your answer to me on that was, I had to dig for that. So nothing is easy about putting this kind of stuff on the air. So sorry to cut you off.
That did take some digging. And the reason why the data took a little while to dig is because they didn't come out and say just in black and white, this is what's going on with solar cycles. They go around announcing these things in such a casual, cowardice way. It's unreal. But anyway, let's go on.
At least they're finally telling the truth.
I love bringing this apocalyptic information to you.
We love you, our favorite Viking. Go get him, fella.
Hi. John says, I've lived in San Diego for 28 years. I used to enjoy the tide pools, and they were incredibly beautiful. They're all dead now, empty of life, rocks bleached, and nothing to see. You know, it's just a part of the changes we're seeing. I think a lot of that, I've read a lot of studies on UVC rays going up, and there's different oxygen things going on. There's a lot of, I would say there's many different scientific things going on impacting what you're seeing right now. But then where there's devastation, there's other places that are flourishing. You know, so it's swings and roundabouts. Look at everyone wants to move to Alaska in the chat now. You know,
that's temporary, but sure, whatever.
We were also talking about Sasha Dobler's PDF on abrupt earth changes. I just want to plug him again tonight since it was mentioned in the chat. And people are talking about what they're doing just prepping and all that. We have a bunch of people popping in the chat asking what day is Zarkova coming on. Her paper should be out of embargo on Monday, maybe Tuesday. We'll see. We are ready for the interview at any time. I've been working with Valentina on some other things, which you guys will be seeing very soon.
Very soon.
So there's a lot of exciting things educationally that is going to be coming to the surface as the rest of the year goes on. We'll just say that.
And again, and Mari, when she says exciting, I believe that it's exciting because this is going to be the confirmation that everybody has been starving for ever since Valentina Zarkova's presentation for the Global Warming Foundation, wherever they are.
I love folks. Valentina. The more I talk with her, the more just bonded I am to her. I love her. She's a wonderful scientist, a wonderful woman.
Very intelligent.
Very smart.
Yeah.
And what we're working on is a way to take these complex physics equations and understandings and give them to the public in a way that they can understand it easier and absorb it. It's very complex. If you look at these scientific papers that Valentina's worked on the majority of her life, most people would look at it and be like, oh, I don't know what's going on. But Valentina, she's working so hard on ways to break things down.
And she's brave.
So she is very brave because she's battling a lot of adversity, but she's working really hard to break it down so just common people that aren't physicists can understand it. And I have so much respect for her, and I really hope that people will support her work. We're going to have a donation page up direct to her to support her research. So definitely a wonderful person, and she's going to be educating the whole GSM community a lot more soon.
And I think the compliment to us is that she's working close with us, because I feel like this channel has always done a solid job at translating some of the most difficult stuff into layman's terms so that the average everyday Joe, like myself and others, can understand and absorb this information and know how to react when the time is right. So wouldn't you agree with that as far as...
Yeah, she knows.
I mean, we're scientific, but at the same time, Mari's very good at breaking things down into pieces for us.
She knows how important this is to get out to the masses.
That's it.
And she knows what it takes. It's going to take taking these real technical pieces and breaking it down so it can be something that everyone can understand. And that I have so much respect and love for her to want to even do that. You know, not all scientists have that compassion for humanity where she actually wants to put herself out there and make a difference. And I see that in her. She's just a brilliant soul. So I'm excited for the interview we have scheduled for her.
Yep.
Her presentation that she's put together on her paper, breaking it down really simplistically so people understand it better, and other things that she's working on to help educate people on solar physics at an elementary level. I'm excited about that.
And we'll finally get to be able to talk about that blurred out slide after this paper.
The famous blurred out
slide. We'll finally get to talk about that, and you don't want to miss it.
I think there was several blurred out slides, and that's because it's her.
She didn't
work.
want her work stolen yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's on embargo. There's things that are under review. Some of it needed to be edited, tweaked, and everything. And now it's almost on its way out the door to be available for public consumption. And you all will see that soon. And she will share that with us in her presentation. That we'll go over with her. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it.
And I'll give you a hint on what's happening in the near future. Let's just say there is a new website coming out, and that's all I'm going to say. So, there, Mari.
Why do you have to say that,
I'm
Jake?
excited. I'm excited. Sorry.
He's just excited that
I'm excited that well, look, this is a good time for Dr. Zarkova, especially when NASA is going to admit that weaker magnetism indicates their prediction for solar cycles, and what they're seeing, to me, only quadruple confirms what the work of...
I can't believe you spilled the beans on that, Jake.
There's nothing I didn't say. That
I'm just going to come out and say... Well,
No.
I'm gonna.
Don't ruin the surprise.
Don't
ruin the surprise.
No, it's not a surprise anymore. Let's see what the people in the chat are saying. I'm just helping Valentina build a website. And it's going to be catered, part of it's going to be catered to the public, part of it's going to be catered to the science part of it. So, you want to go and understand her work, you click on the public section, and we're going to build glossaries and everything that links to different words. If you don't know a word, it's going to link to it's going to be a really cool website. And it's just a great place for people to learn about the physics behind her predictions with grand minimums, super grand minimums, and so on. I'm excited.
The website will feature the paper that's being released here soon, and also will just really feature all of Valentina's work. And I'm excited for Mari to be able to be a part of getting this information out. This is huge. Helping Valentina Zarkova set up a platform and a website to produce this content is exciting for us, just because it's what when we first started the channel, we knew exactly that we were going into some bad times, and we want to be a part of relaying that information. This news has been a passion for us for the past 3 years, and we work very hard, especially Mari.
Well, it's an honor for me.
Yeah, definitely an honor.
Because I have a lot of respect for her, and I really, truly appreciate what she does. Being a scientist and having some information that comes out that isn't what the majority is really expecting to hear, it's a thankless job.
Yep.
And I can sympathize with that and empathize with her, because we have to deliver. We're the barons of bad news a lot of the time, too. It's not very rewarding, but with someone like her,
we're standing in
I'm happy to just help her and see that develop. I'm excited because she really needs a website, and it would just be a great point to go, a place to go to for that information specifically. We had a fundraiser for her last time we did released an interview, and I don't think people realized the money was actually going to be going direct to her because it wasn't from her school website. And this is just, going to try to help her reach out to these other organizations so she can raise more money for her research. It's so important.
Now, the website is going to be accessible. Is that going to be linked to our website as well, or do you have that planned yet?
We're in beta test mode right now. When I talked to her today, we're going to speak with the IT guys and see how the school server's set up. And it's going to go either right direct from the school site, or we're going to link the site and we'll host it on the Grand Solar Minimum on our own subdomain, on our own separate platform. So we'll see how it goes. It might be both. Who knows? Either way, I'm just excited to help her and get her information out there, and then also make it friendly for the public to see. So it's such an honor to be able to work with her and give her that platform to actually, have the information out there, grow her audience even more, and perhaps she can raise more money to further her research. Because I'm telling you guys, this paper that she is coming out, it's brilliant, and a lot of other scientists are going to use her work to do their own studies, and it's like a tree branch. It branches off.
It's going to throw the CO2 theory out the window as well, and that's going to change in a lot of books. This is a exciting time to be alive to witness the possible change in the tide in the science world.
Well, she's showing natural cycles.
Yep.
She has a great understanding and a way of tracking these cycles. So that's the exciting part. I could ramble on about her all night, but I'm going to let you guys go. Jake, you can wrap that up there. Don't forget to tell people about the t-shirt thing. I got my promotion,
sure.
GSM Love.
Sure, we got the 20% off on the t-shirts on the t-shirt shop for GSM. Just type in, what is it, GSM Love? Is that what it is?
Yeah, for the promo code.
For the promo code of the shirts. Actually, see, that's what I look like in the shirt. So there you go. Look, Mario, I'm wearing a GSM t-shirt. All right, so that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. Please like and share, subscribe, hit the bell. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, BitChute, Instagram. We're all over the place. And guys, there's so much information coming out on a daily basis. We will have our next live broadcast on Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have another Grand Solar Minimum News update and hopefully a little bit more information about the Zarkova website. Some of that might even be ready to be viewed by next week at some point. I don't know. I'm not putting a timeline on it, but I can tell you right now, Mari has worked feverishly on it, and it's coming along very nicely, I might add. That's going to do it for us tonight, folks. Please like and share, subscribe, and we will talk soon. Take care, guys.